Today we have the Omega SeaMaster Aqua Terra Small Seconds, a new release from Omega. And before we start, we're fresh out of coffee. Give me a second. Right, okay, we have our coffee, thank the Lord. It's just one of those days today. So let's get straight into the specs of this model. It comes in at 41mm in diameter, which is pretty perfect for my wrists actually. I normally go for 40 to 42-ish millimeters. I could go smaller based on that no bezel concept that I've talked about before, but regardless. Right, so let's address the, I shouldn't clap because it would just think I won't clap, sorry. The lug to lug comes in at 47mm and the height is actually a little bit thicker than I thought it would be. It doesn't wear this thick, if that makes any sense. It comes in at 13.1mm. Now for my slightly skinnier wrists, I do prefer slightly smaller dials, not insanely small, but slightly smaller. My wrists come in about 6.5 inches. So this is actually, it is quite a good fit. Let's dive straight into this dial detail because honestly, the dial is one of the most attractive bits to me about this watch. Firstly, you have that teak pattern, which is almost like the depth through the lines. It's the line sort of pattern that you can see, and in the light, reflecting it in the light at the moment, it just looks beautiful. You can really see the light shining through and the different shades of blue based on how raised or how high up the teak pattern is. The hands and the indices are actually highly polished, and I love the way that they reflect the light and also play against that blue dial. It seems very clean to me. Have a wee look at that. Then we get to the fact that there's actually superluminova in the hands and the indices, of course, to see underwater. Then we get to the fact this is actually water resistance to 150 meters, so it can be easily read underwater with that superluminova. I need to take a breath, give me a second. So moving on to the main feature of this watch, which is of course the small seconds. It's positioned at 6 o'clock and the date window is just below it, positioned in between it quite comfortably. It looks really symmetrical. I love the fact that the date window is at 6 o'clock, and if you have been watching the channel, you know that I've got gripe about date windows at 3 o'clock. I don't see the symmetry, whereas now that it's at 6 o'clock, I see that symmetry. Talking a little bit more about that small seconds hand, I've seen mixed reviews on this. I've seen some people that absolutely love it, and I've seen some people that maybe don't like it as much, but I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you like the small seconds hand, or are you not as big a fan? Would you prefer that cleaner Aqua Terra? Let's know in the comments. Taking a quick look at the case, it actually has highly polished I'm sorry guys, I really need another coffee. As I was saying, the case is made entirely from stainless steel and it's a combination of brushed and polished. Now, the polish actually plays wonderfully against the light. I'm gonna reflect it into the light for you at the moment. And you can see that it really plays against the dial really nicely. It just looks bright and airy. It also has a seconds marker around the outside, which plays wonderfully against that blue. There's a really nice contrast there. It means that you know exactly what second it is. You've got no excuses for being late now. Another feature that I really like is the fact that it sports sapphire crystal glass. Now, what I like about the sapphire crystal glass is that it has anti-reflective coating on both sides. Now this means that you don't lose any visibility of that brilliant dial, especially when under the water. Before we move on to that beautiful movement, which is something that I'm really excited about because, well, it's pretty epic. Remember that Chisholm Hunter are actually official authorized retailers for Omega watches, and you can find the whole range at chisholmhunter.co.uk. That's chisholmhunter.co.uk. Now we move on to literally my favorite bit about this watch. It's the Omega Caliber 8916 Master Chronometer, and wait until you hear about this. Just like nearly every other Omega movement, it is certified as a master chronometer by the Swiss METAS organization. In short, it means that the watch is anti-magnetic to above 15,000 Gauss and runs between +5 to 0 seconds per day. It is, of course, an automatic self-winding movement with a coaxial escapement. It also has a free sprung balance with silicone balance spring. To top this all off, it has a power reserve of 60 hours. But what's better than talking about it is looking at it. It's beautiful, come and have a look. We have covered a lot about these specs, about the dial, about the movement, but you know, a really good perk of my job is I get to try these all on. And I get to give you guys my first-hand experience with how it looks and how it feels. I have to say, when I was getting these wrist shots of this model outside, I did not expect it to look and feel as good as it does on the wrist. It wears amazingly, it looks clean, it looks simple, it looks dressy. I can imagine wearing this to dinners, to birthdays, to special occasions. I maybe wouldn't wear it as my everyday wearer because, well, I have a SeaMaster 300 with a ceramic bezel, so I'd probably wear that. But for that point of difference, to feel that little bit more special, this is what I would put on. You know what, I have to say, it's interesting where the luxury market is going. People want more bang for their buck. They want more quality, more complications. They want more for their money. Let's take a look at Big Pilot, the IWC Big Pilot. It started off as a traditional watch used to tell the time. Then it developed into something else. It evolved over time into, you know, chronographs having lots of complications, having power reserves, having everything under the sun. It's a bit like this. It started with just the date window, now it's got the small seconds, but what's next? It's interesting to see, and I'd love to know what you think. Would you go for the simplicity of just reading the time, the older models, or would you go for these newer, upgraded models? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to join the Chisholm Hunter watch community, make sure you subscribe here. If you want to see more from Amiga and why the SeaMaster 300 meters is perfect, make sure you click here. If you want to see some of the watch vlog where we take some pretty cool watches to some pretty amazing locations, this is the one for you.